Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
20 minutes before 8 a.m. is our time. Good morning and welcome to Business Focus, where we discuss a lot of what's happening in the world of business. Good morning, Kudzie. How are you today?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, Patisani, and good morning, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much.
Unotoona Kudzie kuti ndeve mari vanova vakachena everyday ndeve masutu unotoona kwavanoshanda ndekwe mari
Yangu echandoka.
Anenge akaromudzipa nyota baba.
Yangu echando.
wapedza kupfeka tai
It's been a long time.
kune mafunction
Okay, so Kudzie, we understand that the World Investment Report by the United Nations Trade and Development is now out. Okay, and of course, is there anything for Zimbabwe?
Yes, Tinashe. But before you look at Zimbabwe, maybe you look at Southern Africa, how Southern Africa is performing. I think Southern Africa is actually one of those markets where foreign direct investment is coming to. I think of all the African markets, if you look at Africa as a whole, on average, it had a negative 3%, which means that there was actually investment outflow. And then you look at North Africa, it was even a 12%, negative 12%. So again, you see there was a decline in terms of funds coming in. When you compare 2022 and 2023, there was a downward trend on investment into North Africa. You look at Central Africa, it was down by 17%. And then when you look at Southern Africa, it's the only one that recorded a positive trajectory where foreign direct investment is actually growing to 22%. So that's good. And then when you narrow it down to Southern Africa, where Zimbabwe is now, about $9 billion worth of foreign direct investment, $9 billion came into Southern Africa. Unfortunately, Zimbabwe is not on the top. It's behind South Africa, which is getting more than $5 billion. Then there's also Namibia getting about roughly $2 billion. Mozambique also getting about $2.5 billion. And then Zimbabwe coming in at about $588 million US in forms or in terms of foreign direct investment, 588 million coming into Zimbabwe. But that's like a 49% growth when you compare it with 2022. So in 2023, there was investor interest into Zimbabwe, and this is a report that is done by the United Nations, as you said, Trade and Investment Report. That's saying that $588 million worth of investment came into Zimbabwe. So that's good because it is actually the second highest since 2018. In fact, it's the second highest since 2018. So in 2018, we got about $750 million US in terms of foreign direct investment. So this is the second highest at 588 million. So then you also look at what ZIDA is doing, Zimbabwe Investment Agents. What they also record what they call projected foreign direct investment. When they say projected, it's when Tinashe comes from China and says, I want to invest in Zimbabwe. They ask him, how much do you want to invest? And Tinashe will say, I want to invest so much. So when you look at that report by ZIDA, there is projected investments by the institutions that they licensed last year in 2023 for about 9 billion. But you know how it is with investment. Someone would say, yes, can you license me? And they are given a license. I want to invest into Zimbabwe. I want to invest so much. But when they are on the ground, maybe there are other challenges that they see on the ground that might delay their investments. That's why you see these numbers from ZIDA, from the Reserve Bank, and from this report by the United Nations. Sometimes they differ. So if you ask, but one number that I want to pick from the ZIDA report, because they released their annual report, I think this week or last week, they released their annual report. That's ZIDA. They also, what they do is that they renew licenses in a year. So they renewed about 415 licenses that were renewed last year. And then when these people are coming to renew their licenses, they are asked to say, what was the actual investment that you brought into Zimbabwe? And then they are saying those 415 institutions that were who had their licenses renewed, they are saying they invested about $1.2 billion into Zimbabwe, and it includes the value of the machinery that they brought into the country, if they brought any machinery and equipment, including the real cash. So that's about 1.2 billion. So overall, I would say the investment environment in 2023 was really good, considering that we also went through an election year where a lot of investors might postpone their investment, but we still did quite well in terms of bringing in foreign direct investment. Some people will be like, but why foreign? Why is it so important? It's because locally, vanhu vari muZimbabwe combined hatina mari, yes irimo but ishoma. Remember, my banks akati kune mari about 3 billion, and they can only lend about they've only lended about 1.5 billion, which means that for bigger projects we don't have money. For those who want to expand, we don't have that much money to do bigger projects. So we need both local but also foreign direct investment, because it's new money that will be coming into the country.
Okay, so talking about investment into the country, we are hosting the SADC Industrialization Week. How far are we with the preparations, Kudzie?
I think it's going on quite well, Tinashe. Yesterday I heard that about 120 people have since registered on the portal. So there is actually a portal that has been put up where investors can actually go and or those delegates who want to attend, they can actually go on that portal. I think it's 44th SADC Summit.gov.zw. 44th SADC Summit.gov.zw. That's the portal where, for those who want to register to attend this SADC industrialization, we can go and register. And I'm told about 120 have since registered since the portal went live on the 9th of this month. So it's I think there's overwhelming reaction to the hosting of the SADC Summit.
Kudzie, isusu kwatinobva teida ngobudirwa pachina from the basic unoziva kuuya kwaurita vakuru veSADC ava zvinotibatsira isusu sevana vemuZimbabwe. If we can, chatuzi and marods anaka, that's one thing for sure.
Which is good. Which is good because when so I'll talk from a business point of view, from an investment point of view. So ahead of the SADC Summit, my heads of state and whatever they will be discussing and it, SADC Industrialization Week, where we are now talking about the manufacturing sector and how we can grow our manufacturing sector as a region, as a hub. Remember that we've got the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that is coming, where goods from everywhere in Africa will be allowed to come maybe into Zimbabwe duty free and so on and so forth. And now we are having this industrialization week to make sure that as a region we are able to manufacture products, so that kana mabhodha avhurwa zvaizviya isusu tinenge tine zveduwo zvekuendesawo kune dzimwe nyika, uyezve maproducts edu atinenge chigadzira isusu anenge achikwanisa kukompita neachabva kune dzimwe nyika. But yesterday I managed to talk to the CEO of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, that's Sekai Kuvarika, and this is what she had to say with regards the upcoming SADC Summit, and maybe it will also answer your question, Patsan.
Hi, Kudzie. So we really would like to spotlight the investment forum on the 29th. I think it's going to be probably one of the most interesting parts of the week for the private sector, as it were. And of course, the DFIs are going to participate, and our local banks are going to participate. Some private equity firms and venture capitalists from the region will also be participating. Then the other key focus is really the SMEs and entrepreneurship, where we have this internationalization of SMEs, learning lessons from the Germans, how they've managed to deliberately create policies and support structures to internationalize their small and medium enterprises. And we are also going to feature our own entrepreneurs. We've got a case where we are going to do, these guys, TDW, Longden Steel, Absolute Paints. We are going to also present something on, like an entrepreneur-driven sort of ecosystem to support each other and kind of grow. So we're going to spotlight those. And in that session, that's where we are also expecting that the Indian Franchise Association will present opportunities to entrepreneurs who may want to get into franchising. We are also looking maybe to bring some entrepreneurs from South Africa, and other SMEs that are coming from the region are going to participate in that forum. So that there's we want to buzz around the entrepreneurship aspects as well. And I think for me, one of the key issues is really to drive home the point that at the end of the day, this industrialization is really about business and about doing business in the region, and how we do business together and how we can invest in each other's countries as well. So that's basically it in terms of how we want to project this going forward, and also bring into focus the various private sector associations across the region and their relevance and participation in mobilizing private sector in this as well. And of course, the other key issue for us is that investment promotion for manufacturing, where we are calling regional investment promotion agencies to come and participate and exhibit on what they are doing to promote manufacturing in their various countries, so that we can really maximize the opportunities for manufacturers across the region.
Yeah, so that was the CEO of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, Sekai Kuvarika. I think CZI is the one that is organizing this SADC Industrialization Week, obviously on behalf of the Minister of Industry and Commerce. And I think that's the answer to what Patisan was asking, to say what is the benefit for us, the coming in of the SADC summit into Zimbabwe. We've also seen infrastructure development, which is good. But at the bottom line, like she said, is that we want business and we want to promote manufacturing within the region and obviously within Zimbabwe.
Right, Kudzie, thank you so much for that update. 8 minutes before we're done with Business Focus. I saw Zimbabwe results in the papers this morning. Did you get a chance to look at them?
Yes, he released their results for their full year to March. So they've got a 12-year period that ended in March. And I think that for me, what was interesting there is that in terms of volumes, the number of units that they sold was actually down for that period. I think about 29% drop in terms of volumes. But that's last year actually, up to the end, to March. But the first quarter now into 2024, their first 3 months. This is what they did. Sales volumes now recovering by 15%. So they are now doing well from seeing a significant drop in terms of volumes. They recorded a 15% increase in terms of the sales volumes, the number of units that they sold. They also, the basket size. So this is now, for example, Ngoni going into their outlets and buying, but the basket size, what he is buying, is also increased by about 22%. So you've got volumes going up, and then the basket size, people are buying maybe high margin products when they go into so the basket size goes up. So when they say basket size, the value is yes, and on average, a customer might have been buying less $20 and a customer on average. But now akutenga kana let's say $30. But these are not the actual numbers. But what they are basically saying is that basket of what people were buying has gone up by 22%, which is good for them. However, when it comes to customer count, customer count, customer atenga every day for this period,
no matter what you buy,
you are just doing customer count. That has gone down though by about 10% in terms of customer count. But those vasara vacho vari kutenga, they are buying more, and they are also in terms of volume, in terms of value.
When you say the numbers, customer, yes, they've gone low
by 10%. Yes.
By 10%, I'm thinking, are we then saying that it was a decline in terms of customers during the Green Challenge?
I don't know. This period,
doesn't cover that.
I don't, because it's from March it actually goes up to June, to 23rd of June. So you could, it's an update from the 1st of April to the 23rd of June. So you could say the OK Grain Challenge was there. But however, you can't really say it happened during the OK Grain Challenge. Because remember, we are coming from April. So I need to then consider, okay, yakambotanga rini promotion-ish.
I was actually thinking,
but it should have,
kazhinji kacho pa OK Grain Challenge, ndo panowanda manumbers ano. Kana period UMSM bracket manumbers adona ne 10%.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation that you're making there. I'm sure they are listening. They'll give me feedback. And maybe we give you feedback later.
Is it losing
tomorrow.
Its popularity or what?
These are valid questions, Tinashe, and I know they'll be listening and they'll give us feedback to say, okay, this decline in customer count happened during your one of your biggest promotions. What was really happening there? I think they will be able to answer us on that. But also interesting, Tinashe, in terms of the usage of US dollars and ZIG within these outlets, and they're telling us that the bulk of their sales, more than 70%, are still in ZIG, and just the balance in US dollars. So a lot of people buying in these outlets, they are still preferring to go and swipe. So these are probably your civil servants and other private sector employees who are still earning in ZIG and choosing to go and buy from these major retail outlets. I saw an article in I think it's the editorial in the Herald this morning, where they were saying that the manufacturers and the informal sectors are the ones that are still resisting ZIG, but the formal sectors and formal wholesalers, which are the OKs of this world, they are largely accepting ZIG. Hopefully, when they want to restock, when they go to their manufacturers, they are able to restock at the time that they want to restock. Kweto tosvika bonza hakuna chakati, hakuna sipo yakati, hakuna chakati. Why? Because maybe zvaenda kuti matax shop iri kuya uzobhadhara nema-US dollar ndo inenge preferred by the manufacturers. So that's it. Yeah.
All right, let's close it off with 3 minutes to go. Let's close it off by looking at the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, the trading updates.
I think the ZSE is still doing quite well. I think in terms of in the eyes of those who are selling their shares, like I said, they will be selling at a higher price than the previous day. So the all share index on average was up by 1.64%. Top 10 index doing even better, up by 2.13%. It was also good for sellers on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. The VFX up by 2.12%. Top risers on the ZSE, AFT is putting on 14.12%. CBZ adding 2.87%. ZB Financial Holdings putting on 12.39%. EcoCash adding 9.53%. And then Wheeldale putting on 7.77%. But however, the market was not short of losers. Art Corporation down by 14.94%. ZHL down by 13.79%. ProPlastics easing by 13.64%. Fidelity Life dropping 11.36%. And TSO also down by 3.11%. Most investors were putting their money into Delta. 5.4 million worth of shares in Delta changing hands there. EcoCash getting almost a million there, $916,000. And then, not dollars rather, ZIG. And then Mikus, Econet and ZHL also getting a sizable chunk of the ZIG that was invested. So that's how things went on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange yesterday.
All right, Kudzie, thank you so much for the update on Business Focus this morning, just 2 minutes before we go. Maybe if you can respond to this quickly from Sinoya Maxwell in Epworth, who says, how are consumers likely to benefit from either losing or gaining share value of shareholders of the business in which the consumers are buying from?
Yeah, the consumers, they don't benefit from what is happening on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange in terms of the share price. In fact, the share price is responding to what consumers are doing to these companies. If a company is recording good sales, if a company is recording good profits, it means consumers are the ones that are buying. And then investors who invest in companies that are doing well. But as for consumers, I wouldn't say there's any direct benefit from what the shares are trading at on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange.
Okay, thank you so much, Kudzie, for Business Focus. For today, we discuss more tomorrow, Friday.
Thank you.